So bit by bit, I've got my valleys in the eye sockets. I've got my Everest of the face, which is my nose. I've got those eyebrows up there in the ridge. I just need to bring out the cheeks a little bit more, and this guy is going to be done with step one, which is the basics, which is topography. And some interesting things started to happen when I started to pooch out with the cheeks, and so I'm going to follow up with that. Okay, so we've got a little pot developing. And it's not finished, it's just in development right now. There's still some rough bumps and things like that, but so far so good. After you get the topography worked out, it's time to start thinking about building features on here from back to front. Easiest way to show that is probably by dealing with the eyes in here. Okay, so I'm going to start with some eyes. When you're making things, if you want to make two of anything, make them at the same time. Think about making things that go from very general to specific. So these are going to be eyes. And what I'm trying to make right here are two equal size balls of clay. Your eyes are not going to tell you if the clay is the same size. Your fingers are going to tell you. Your fingers have a lot more accuracy in terms of detecting how big something is. Way more accurate than your eyes when you're dealing with 3 dimensions. And so feel the clay. You have the same size. And now these balls of clay, I'm just going to roll these little balls of clay in my fingers, and then I'm going to pat them so they're kind of like Junior Mints or Skittles. They're domed shaped. They're not totally round, because if I stick something totally round in here, it's going to bug out on there. I don't want that. You might want that, but I don't want that. So when I'm making eyes, I'm going to start in the back. I've actually started in the back already. I've created an eye socket, and now I'm going to put the eyeball, and then I'll put the eyelids over the top of that. To get a connection that has integrity, you have to slip and score. And what that means is you have to make mud on the surface of your clay, and that mud is going to be a cement. I'm making a mess right now. So I'm just going to put a little bit of water on here, and I'm going to scratch, and I'm going to make mud. Now this mixture that I have in here, it has some clay, some creamy clay that we call slip, and we call it slip because when you put it between your fingers, oh, it just slips so nicely. Creamy slip, good slip. So we get this little stuff going in here, and I've made mud. Is that pretty good mud, Mr. Kimmel?
Not too shabby.
You're the doctor. You're the doctor. Okay. Okay. Slippy, slip, 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 slip. Sound effects help. Slippy, slip, 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 slip. People give you funny looks, but totally sound effects help. Okay. And then I'm going to take this, and I know my slip is working if when I put it on, let's get a nice close-up on this one. If when I put it on, I can see a little bit of that slip kind of ooze out the side. That's how I know, like, hey, there's enough glue there to really get that holding on. Is that too close, or are we okay?
Nope, good.
Okay. So here we go, got good mucky mud in there, and then says here. Real quick way to do eyes, and remember I want to work back to front. I'm going to put my detail on the eyes before I put the lids on. So back to front in here. I'm just going to take this guy and kind of press it in like that, and that'll be like the iris. And I want him looking a little cross-eyed because I can make a goofy kind of project. And so I got that, and I just used the end of a Bic pen. You find these things everywhere, but remember, kids, use only Bic brand pens. Get a little product placement in there. Bic.
Nice.
Okay, yeah.
The official pen of the art department.
There you go. Actually, I don't use ballpoints
Neither
in my work. Okay, and then I'm going to use this little part, the pipette. The pipette. That's the word that you only see in print. You never hear that. But until right now. Okay, and then I'm going to use that to create the pupil. And aren't those just the goofiest little cute eyes you've ever seen? And all because people throw these down everywhere. I picked them up not to use them. for writing, but to use them for ceramics. Okay, eyelids. Here is the tricky part. Eyelids. You want to start off with 2 even-sized balls of clay. Nice and moist. See, my hands are a little on the dry side. I better get some satin hands here. I better take a slurp of Starbucks brand coffee, Christmas blend. Oh, that's delicious. Okay, so 2 even-sized balls of clay, and I'm just going to make a little coil. You can make a coil on the tabletop. I kind of like to use my palms. I got a little bit too much satin going on there. It's like I'm in a funk band in the 1970s wearing too much satin.
Impossible.
Or some like the Ohio Players. Who else? Like funk bands from the 70s. Graham Central Station. Okay, anyway, I digress.
Little George Clinton.
Oh yeah, oh, the Godfather. Okay, so I've got a little coil here, and what I want to do on the edges is I want to just taper that coil. Taper is when you make something go from chubby to thin. Chubby to thin. So there's a transition going on here. This is now a tapered coil. And I'm going to taper the other coil as well. Ooh, tapering the coil. My coil, I'm going to think about the angle of the eyelid over the eye. And you can just use a tool, angry eye. You know, angry, arr. You know, kind of sad. Since we're dealing with a pot that's kind of sad or maybe afraid, this is a fraidy little pot, I'm going to have my coil go lustwise. I want this to stick. This isn't Bush League. This is the big times, baby. So I'm really going to tear that up one more time. And so I have like totally annihilated the eye and annihilated. Oh, these are the jokes, people. Gazinga. Okay. And a little bit of that. See all those little marks on the back there? How there aren't just like, 3 or 4 millions. Billions, Carl Sagan exponential, billions and billions of parsecs of lines. Okay, again, my kingdom for a brush, but I ain't stopping now. Ain't no stopping us now. Okay, and then, boom. But
there we go.
what I'm doing is I'm integrating the top of the eyelid, but I'm not touching down here. I want to let that definition happen down there. So I'm just using just the edge of my thumb. Like, people think like I'm going to use my whole finger. You don't even have to use the whole finger. Just like parts of fingers. Just like find like the corner of your finger and integrate it. And we've got some really nice back to front definition going on there. Remember, it starts with the eye socket. Build out with the eyeball, maybe do a little jazzing around with that eyeball in there, and then get that lid to just tease that sucker into place. Real quick, I'm going to show you how to continue to doctor up the nose. I like a proper Mount Everest nose on my piece, so I'm just going to push a little bit more. I'm going to imply where those nostrils might be, and see, I'm using my pinky in here just to drive that sucker out a little bit. Now it's starting to go someplace. And so if we think about the nose as a feature being the large detail, and maybe the medium detail will be like, can you put a little contour in the nose? So like if we look at it from the side, maybe there's like a little, maybe we hook down. These big shapes for the medium, I want the ball of the nose to come out a little bit more. So I'm going to fork it a little bit. Hey, this family show. Can't talk like that. And I'm just going to take another skittle of clay, ball it, skittle it. And I'm taking a fork with some slip on it, and I'm just, isn't that nice, creamy slip? It's all torn up on the surface. That's going to cement together quite nicely. So this And right now it kind of looks like a massive wart or, a boil or something like that. But the trick comes from integrating it, making it look like it's growing from the hole. Grow that sucker. So now I've got the large detail, which is the nose, kind of a nice medium detail, which is this little character. And the stronger the shape, the more character your piece is going to have. And then my little detail is going to be the little nostrils. And I might get, just by using the tools here, wow, that's a funky little tool here. I want to get just a little bit more definition going on right down in the bottom of the nostril. So we can kind of get that wing that comes up there. And I'm just tucking the clay. Just tucking it. Tuck, 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 tuck. Sound effects help. Tuck, 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 tuck. And there's some more cleanup that I could do on there, but for right now, for our intents and purposes, this guy's coming together.